Hey friends, let's talk about how to get precise estimates for edit work. Edit work is generally where you're bringing in a designer or a developer to make edits to an existing website, wherein you're bringing someone else in and this person did not necessarily build the website. That's what we're going to be talking about today. How do you do that? And to give you a little bit of context, for example, that kind of thing for most developers is the last kind of work they want to do. Most developers will not even touch a website they didn't build because they have no control. They didn't build it. They don't know the history. They don't know the code, if the code is any good. They don't know the setup. They don't know the logic. They don't know the system. And so for a developer to come into that kind of environment, it's incredibly risky, because they could touch something and it breaks, and they didn't know that because they didn't build this website. They could come in and be expected to do edits and the site is in chaos. The build is bad. And now they have to untangle it and fix it and clean it before they can even do that next round of edits. So if you are interviewing developers to come into a site that, again, your main developer for whatever reason is no longer on the project, keeping in mind this is a very, very risky move for a web developer. And so how you can support them is by getting them as much information as possible so they can quote the job properly. So what that usually looks like is you have a full list of edits, and let's just say that related to those edits were some problems before. Like someone tried something that didn't work, and they tried something that didn't work, tried something that didn't work. Explanation of why those things didn't work so that they're not like reinventing the wheel. Because if they try something that one of the other developers tried already, it's just a waste of your money, right? So having an explanation of like what we tried, what didn't work. And then the third thing being getting them access to the staging server, the site on this, like the staging version of the website. So if you haven't seen my video about this, most websites have two versions. There's the live/production version, which is like the site you see. And then there's that staging, the staging development version, which is an exact replica of the live site, but one that's invisible. The one that's like the working version that your team is working on, you make changes on that nobody sees. But once you make all these changes, and then once you push it from staging to live, that's when you see it. So in order to get a precise quote on edits, making sure that whoever's quoting the job has access, admin access to this staging site. Because you want to give them as much information, like I was saying before. They can see your setup, see your plugins, see the code, see the integrations, see everything. And so they can make an informed choice about whether or not they can even do these edits for your budget. Because your site might be a train wreck on the back end, and there's no way that they can even do these edits without doing a tons of cleanup first. And maybe that's okay. Maybe you want to quote for the cleanup, but you've got to make sure the person quoting is getting the full picture. Because what sometimes will happen in the development world is you'll send a list of edits. I need this, this, and this. Let's say you send 10 things. And the developer, without looking at the back end of your website, will be like, okay, yeah, no problem, $500. They quote up blind. They can't stand behind that quote unless they are willing to handle unforeseen tech problems as part of that fixed price, if you know what I mean by that. So always with edits, when a developer is coming into a site that they did not build, there is going to be something they did not plan on that's going to take time and be billable. So it's inevitable that the scope is not going to be 100% precise, because there's, like I said, they're walking into something they don't know, right? So they're, in terms of the setup, they know how to fix it, but so you have to give them margin that they're kind of going to have to orient themselves to your setup, but also stacking the deck in their favor that they have everything they need. Do not, in my experience, do not take a quote from someone who is not asked to see the back end of your website. Because, like I said, they're going to give you a flat rate quote without knowing anything. They could open up that back end and there's plugins out of date everywhere, themes broken. And for them to do their work, they're going to have to clean all that up. So their $500 quote is going to come back to you and be like, actually, sorry, you know what? It's not $500, it's $2,000. So it's better to know that on the front end. So figure out what you need. Figure out that list of all the documentation, all the problems, everything that has been done already to the best of your ability, and sometimes that's not possible. And then number 3, get them access to your staging site. And that will help you so much get a much more precise quote on edits. I will see you tomorrow.